Hello, this is Chapter 5, Section 21 of Ori of the Dragon Chain. Gwah! A roar echoes through the forest. That voice shook the trees and made the atmosphere vibrate. Nosmu and the others instinctively shield their faces as the wind hits them with a roar. Dragon. Tough scales and vitality, wings that fly in the sky, and a scorching breath that can melt even iron. It is an outstanding existence even among a magical beast, and depending on the individual, it has the potential to take down even a castle. It is not a good thing to be wandering around a place like this. However, there is no glimmer of life force in that body. The dragon's eyes turned white, and he lost one of his wings. The Ryuan, which should normally shine in the sunlight, was cracked in places, and in some places the skin underneath was peeling off, exposing the muscles. A dragon that lives even after it dies, a being that could be called a corpse dragon, was exposing its bare corpse under the sunlight. Everyone present, including Nozomu and the others, looked up at the giant beast in front of them in shock. My thoughts have stopped due to a sudden event. The corpse dragon was shaking his head as if the sunlight was bothering him, but his cloudy white eyes turned towards Nozomu and the others. Avoid everyone! Nozomu felt a chill from the corpse dragon's gaze and immediately jumped away screaming. Iristina, Tima, and Kevin also followed his words. The next moment, the corpse dragon took a deep breath and scorching breath was exhaled from its mouth. The flame spewed out in a straight line, instantly carbonizing the plants and ground it passed. After spitting out its breath, the corpse dragon lifted its head again, opened its mouth again, and attacked Kevin and the others, trying to eat them. Kevin fires a spirit bullet at the dragon's face, distracting it, and everyone scattered at the same time. The corpse dragon that rushed in lost sight of its target and plunged its heads deep into the ground. After escaping from the approaching giant, they joined their respective parties and regained their balance. Hey, what is this? Hey, I didn't expect this situation either. Why is there a corpse dragon in a place like this? Hey, Gin, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You just have to survive. Kevin, Theo, Jin, and the others are shaken by the unexpectedly powerful presence that suddenly appears in front of them. No wonder. They have been training hard at Solidarity Academy, but they have never encountered a monster of this level. Rather, we should praise them for being able to think about what to do now, despite being shaken by the sudden encounter with such a threat. An average soldier would have stood dumbfounded in front of the corpse dragon, or would have panicked in fear and been killed hopelessly. Kevin temporarily distanced himself due to the strength of the opponent, but his comrade lying on the ground appeared in his field of vision. I can't help it. Kevin runs to his unconscious party member, while the corpse dragon face is stuck in the ground. He must have thought if he continued to fight this dragon, he might be crushed by the dragon. He takes the unconscious swordsman and the spear-wielding gold under his arms and starts running at full speed. The corpse dragon raises its head while raising a muffled voice. His cloudy white eyes focused on Kevin, who was holding his companion. Grrrr. A dragon charging towards Kevin. He ran as fast as he could in an attempt to free his unconscious comrade, but the corpse dragon gradually closed the distance between them, making the earth rumble. Shit, how long have you been unconscious for? I'm gonna throw you away. Even as he curses at his unconscious companion, Kevin never lets go of them. Lets go of the companion he holds under his arm. The corpse dragon approaches right behind Kevin and opens its mouth to eat them. knife-sharp fangs appear, and the breath tinged with putrid odour is exhaled. The dragon's shadow covered Kevin as he ran, but just as its fangs were about to catch him, a huge jet black magic bullet was fired from the side of to the dragon's side. Oh! The corpse dragon staggers with a small scream. Furthermore, a gigantic wind block slams into its gigantic body, and the corpse dragon collapses from the impact. Meanwhile, Kevin manages to escape from the dragon's fangs. Ah, Iristina. And is that Tima's guy? What was ahead of his vision was Iristina, who was standing with a thin sword pointing at the corpse dragon, and Tima, who was raising a staff. Apparently, they were the ones who injected magic into the dragon. Kevin, over here! Although Kevin is a little confused by Iristina's call, he heads towards her with his friends in his arms. Are you okay? Ah, you saved me. Kevin looked relieved. Iristina turns her attention to her classmate, who he is holding, and she has a worried look on her face. Kevin is worried about his friends, but when he catches sight of Nozomu next to Iristina, he becomes annoyed. As expected, I'm not going to jump on it right now, but it doesn't seem to change the fact that it's not interesting. Kevin, who's your buddy? He's not dead, but he's still unconscious. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't been there. At that moment, Nozomu heard Marth's voice. Nozomu! Mars? Marth runs towards Nozomu behind him, are Jin and Sheena. At that moment, the corpse dragon that had fallen down started to get up. At the bottom, you guys are in the way, so go quickly. Kevin sees the dragon getting up and strongly tells Nozomu and the others to leave. However, Iristina opened her mouth to interrupt his words. Nozomu, I have a favour to ask you, and I want you to help take Kevin's friends to a safe place. Iristina asks Kevin to take his friends to a safe place. Certainly, it would be impossible for Kevin's unconscious companions and the exhausted Jin and the others to deal with the dragon they were currently facing. That doesn't matter. Gin, can I ask you a favour? Yeah, what about Nozomu-kun and the others? I gotta say stop. Oh, bro, fuck him. Jin and the others also understand that their current strength is too much for them, so they obediently accept Iristina's proposal and carry Kevin's companions on their backs. We'll buy you time to escape Rimuru. Go ahead and tell the operation headquarters about this. Okay, Tom, be careful. Hey, Rimuru, be careful too. Rimuru nods to Iristina's request and calls out to her lover, Tom, who also exchanges words with her. The two smile at each other. Perhaps that's enough for the two of them who share a common understanding, and after exchanging glances for a moment, Rimuru quickly jumps into the forest. Following her, Jin and his friends also disappeared into the forest carrying the injured on their backs. Everyone else, including Nozomu and Marth, will deal with the dragon. Is that okay? The name of one person mentioned in Iristina's words. Kevin, who was repulsed by the name, complained, Hey, Iristina, even with this guy, he's still a hindrance. Kevin points at Nozomu while saying this in a sense. This reaction was natural for him, who had been swallowed up by Marth's technique and had not seen Nozomu's illusion, but his voice was interrupted by Iristina. It's okay, he'll be fine. While saying that, Iristina smiles despite the situation. Yes, I think so too. He knows this forest better than anyone else here, and he has more experience fighting monsters than we do. We need his power. Furthermore, Sheena agreed with Iridina's word. There was a certain trust in his eyes of the two of them, as they looked at Nozomu, and it seemed the same was true for Tom, who was standing behind her. Behind them, Theo was watching Sheena and the others with amused eyes. Kevin clicks his tongue as if he's been bitten a bitter worm. He was in love with Iristina, and it didn't interest him to hear any other man's name come out of her mouth. Meanwhile, Nosemove, Lisa, and the others were crossing each other. Other eyes were crossing each other. Lisa and Ken glared at Nosemove. Nosemove made a self-mocking expression as he met her gaze. An indescribably heavy atmosphere envelops the place. When Lisa was about to open her mouth to say something, Iristina interrupted her words. Lisa, I don't know what happened between you and Nosemove, but now, right now, my priority is what to do with that dragon. I know it, without you having to say anything. Lisa further interrupts Iristina's words, her stubborn expression completely rejected. Nosemove, it's like she's forcing herself to do that. Ken, next to her, was also glaring at Nosemove. Her expression was expressionless, but her gaze was filled with hatred that chilled his spine. Oh, it's coming! At that moment, Ma's voice echoed around. At the sound of that voice, everyone present at once prepared for their prey. Glaw! The corpse dragon roars again. The dragon opened its mouth again and released a scorching breath. Tima, leave it to me. Tima responded to Iristina call and deployed a magic barrier that the breath will turn your bones into charcoal if you bathe in it properly. But the invisible wall, imbued with the highest level of human magical power, will not allow the scorching breath to invade. While Tima is blocking the corpse dragon's breath, Iristina immediately deploys magic. The wind around her spirals and gathers in front of her eyes, releasing with a roar. The hungry breeze in Iristina's wild tunnel collides with the dragon's breath, and the constant flames are dispersed for a moment, opening the way for the corpse dragon. You're the worst. Just don't get in my way. After cursing Nosemove, Kevin activates Shunkyaku. In a blink of an eye, he turns into wind and ran through the gap of the flames, rushing towards the corpse dragon. When the corpse dragon noticed Kevin rushing towards him, it moved its head and tried to shower Kevin with its breath. It was currently exhaling, but it was unable to catch his movements and just burned the ground. Huh? It's dull. Kevin concentrates his fist with his Shinkiaku, and he suddenly became thinner and slammed the sole of his palm into the corpse dragon's jaw, as if he were digging his claws into its prey. Damn it! Kaijutsu. Claw, fang. A key technique that simultaneously strikes the opponent with a double attack of the impact from the bottom of the palm and a burst of ki released from the nails. With a thud that resonated in its stomach, the dragon's scales, which had become brittle, cracked and blood gushed out. However, the corpse dragon does not care around the blood that is flowing out and continues to try to eat Kevin. Whoops. Kevin instantly slipped under the dragon's chin and avoided the dragon's dragon's fangs. Out of the corner of his eye, Kevin saw the jaws close above his head with a clang, and he turned around to the other side, this time focusing on the toes of his feet, and once again punched him, fire in the dragon's claw. Kaijutsu, Rabakika, Rakikiba. The kick, which was swiftly and with energy, was a blade slicing through the scales and exposed the skin. However, the dragon tries to mow down Kevin with its front paws, even though the skin on its jaw is torn. Isn't it working? Kevin jumped backwards to avoid the approaching dragon's arm, and Marth rushed in to the gap. Then how about this? Mars, who came around from the other side, with the dragon in between, charged in while raising a great sword wrap in the air technique, Dust Wind Blade. Dia! Mars swings his great sword down with a burst of energy. The great sword, which gained enough speed and acceleration from the swinging down, smashed the cracked dragon, and cut it into the dragon's flesh deeply, while the wind blade attached to the sword body cut into the dragon's flesh even more deeply. Gouge it out, however, he doesn't care about that, and raises his tail high, trying to mow down Kevin and Marth. What? God. Marth and Kevin try to avoid the approaching tail, but Marth cannot move immediately after his sword hits him. Meanwhile, severe pain ran through Kevin's body as he tried to jump away. The injury sustained by Marth's magic combination technique momentarily slowed down Kevin's movement. When Kevin came to, he was unable to avoid the dragon's tail and was approaching him, and mowed down the tail, hit the two bodies directly. Gosh, shit. Good. The two are thrown away and hit the ground. Furthermore, a corpse dragon approaches the two people who have fallen down. Mars, don't do it. Tima, who saw Mars being blown away, cried out in pain. She immediately activated Gaijin's disaster and unleashed that magical on the corpse dragon. Theo also took out a talisman from his pocket, created 3 flame bullets and slammed them down. At the same time, a huge flame bomb landed on the corpse dragon. A large explosion occurred and the blast wave overran the surrounding area. Furthermore, Theo's flame bullet hits directly and the smell of burning meat fills the surroundings. Nice. The ground is blown away and gouged. Iristina and the other expressions soften a bit when they see this scene, and they see a huge shadow coming from behind the smoke. Their expressions tighten again. A huge body emerges from the smoke. However, it wasn't completely unscathed, as its body was burnt black in places by the flames. Apparently, the area where the scales had come off was burned. Meanwhile, Mars and Kevin stood up. However, Kevin's left arm was broken and hanging loosely, and Marth seemed to be barely able to stand, using his great sword as a cane. Both of them were unsteady on their feet, and blood was dripping from their mouths, as if they had injured their internal organs. It's clearly serious. The corpse dragon tries to move towards Kevin and the others, even though its entire body is smoking. Fuck! Kevin and Mars grit their teeth, and the shock had numbed their entire body, so he was able to stand but was unable to move. Unpalatable. Nosmu throws a ball of light at the dragon. The corpse dragon temporarily loses sight of Marth and the others due to the flash of the exploding light bulb. However, Nosmu and Theo ran up to Marth and Kevin with their Shinkyaku and grabbed them by the nape of their necks. Oi, hey. It's a little rough, but please bear with me. Wait. Nosmu and Theo leave with their Shinkyaku, dragging the two of them with the corpse dragon tries to chase after it, but Iristina, Tima, Sheena and Tom stop it in its tracks. Can Camilla support me? Lisa, her crimson hair flowing, heads towards the corpse dragon as if replacing Nosmu. Furthermore, a torrent of her magical power erupts from behind her. Camilla and Ken chant magic and shoot icicle dances one after another at the corpse dragon. Most of the icicles that attacked the corpse dragon were blocked by its protective scales, but a few of them hit in areas where the scales had fallen off and pierced its body. Furthermore, Ken creates an an extra large icicle and slams it into the dragon's chest. The dragon's body wobbles as if it's received a direct hit from a huge mass. And in the meantime, Lisa uses Nabil's magic hand to imbue her own saber with magic that doubles its effect. Her blade was scorching hot, tracing a trajectory in the air. She quickly closes the gap and swung the saber in her hand with all her might, aiming for the abdomen. Ha! Her slash was once blocked by the dragon's scales and was repelled with a harsh sound like metal scraping together in a flurry of sparks. However, due to her slash, the corpse dragon's already tattered scales fell off, exposing her soft skin. Furthermore, Lisa returned the sword and deeply cut into the dragon's body, activating the magic contained within the sword's body. The cut wound was burned anyway, and at the same time burning away the corpse dragon's internal organs from the inside. It was clearly a fatal blow. The feeling in her hand was also certain, and Lisa felt the response from her heart, and a smile naturally spilled out. Picture. However, that smile quickly turned into a disappointed look. The dragon that should have cut open its stomach and burned its internal organs raises its long arms, log-like arms. The corpse dragon swung its arm towards Lisa, paying no heed to the obvious fatal wound. Yeah! Lisa is sent flying and gets slammed into a nearby tree. Lisa gasped from the shock and coughed violently. She couldn't move at all, probably because she was hit so hard. Ken runs out to help Lisa. Camilla tries to cast her magic again, but she clearly can't make it in time. The corpse dragon opens its mouth to eat Lisa. Lisa can only look at its jaws of death approaching in front of her. However, the next moment, a line ran across the corpse dragon's right eye. At the same time, the dragon's face explodes from the inside, including its right eye. Picture. Furthermore, a shadow intervenes between Lisa and the corpse dragon. The shadow concentrated on the sword, its hand. He shook it all at once. Gaijutsu, Genmu regression. Nozomu extremely compressed air blade slices through the other remaining dragon's eye. The corpse dragon, whose vision was completely taken away, seemed surprised and fell back while writhing. Nozomu didn't turn around to hear Lisa's shocked voice, but instead held his back. It was in time. Nozomu felt relieved whilst muttering this in his mind. I left Tim and the others to assist Marth and Kevin, who were unable to move due to their injuries, but it seems like they made the right decision. Nozomu. Lisa's voice sounded shocked. It had been a long time since she had heard her voice. Since, I'm guessing he had heard her voice, that wasn't tainted with hatred. A nostalgic voice like the same as when we were still together. At the same time, various emotions come and go deep within Nozomu's chest. However, he didn't know whether the feelings that rose up were anger at being betrayed, sadness at being hated, or the happiness at being able to protect her even just once. It just continues to swell up from the depths of my chest, mixing together in a chaotic manner. A sharp pain ran through my nose and my throat, ever-increasing emotions rose up from my throat. However, Nozomu desperately tried to keep his mouth shut so as to not let out his feelings that continued to well up. Damn, God. The swell of confusing thoughts continued to rage like a storm, and Nozomu himself didn't know what he would say if he let them out even once. Nozomu was facing the corpse dragon while feeling her presence on his back. A huge body as big as a house, a rotten smell, and tattered wings and scales. The majesty of the dragon that once there was gone. Existed there was gone, and it looked like a piece of debris. Lisa, are you okay? Ken rushes to Lisa's side as soon as she heard Ken's voice. The emotions that filled Nozomu began to turn black. What's the matter? All you have to do now is swing that blade, okay? The voice of someone heard from the depths of the abyss. The appearance of a giant dragon with 5 colours and 6 wings flickers every time his heart beats. It was as if the corpse dragon in front of me and him were overlapping each other. Yo, Nozomu, you have some incredible skills. Fear ran up to Nozomu's side and spoke to him in that same tone as usual. He was surprised that Nozomu, who was inferior to his abilities, had the ability to cut the dragon's body in two with a single blow. But Nozomu had no time to respond to that casual comment. Nozomu stepped forward, trying to shake off the scene with the dark emotions. The corpse dragon took a breath and tried to exhale a scorching breath at Nozomu. Nozomu extremely compresses the energy in his legs and activates Shinkyaku. I kick the ground with the desire to tear off his shackles that suppress his abilities along with his feet. He stepped diagonally, not directly in front of the corpse dragon, but around the side. He lowers his stance and tries to lick the side of the dragon's breath as he runs, but scorching breath that melts even iron just brushes past him, burning Nozomu's hair and scorching his skin. However, Nozomu did not stop. Originally, his only option was close combat. In order to seize his only chance of victory, Nozomu runs through the dragons regardless of the fact that his own body is burned and slips into the dragon's feet. I put Genmu on the blade and slashed at his figure. Imbued with an extremely compressed energy, the sword turned into a magical blade, scattering sparks as it sliced through the corpse dragon's body, including its dragon scales. A rotting smell leaked from the open wound, and the meat dripped out. On the other side, Furio was slamming his club full energy into the gap between the dragon scales. The corpse dragon swung its arm and tail as if to sweep away the insects that were clinging to it. But Nozomu didn't stop moving and continued to slash at the giant body while moving into the corpse dragon's blind spot. Shit, it's not working at all. However, Nozomu's keyblade was not as effective as expected. Theo also had a stern look on his face, as if it hadn't done much of an effect. A corpse dragon that originally had no sense of pain and was already a dead body. Nozomu's blade and Theo's club were too small to cut down the undead, which was about the size of a humanoid, but was larger than a house. Nozomu, get away! Nozomu and Theo opened their gap as if repelled by Irisdina's echoing words. Immediately after, the magical rain that fell down slammed down on the corpse dragon's body, but most of it was repelled by the dragon scales and wasted away. Tima, no! Additionally, Tima creates an oversized stone spear using the Tagawa dance and launches it at the corpse dragon. The stone spear, so long that it resembles a battering ram, pierced through the corpse dragon Ryuan and pierced its chest deeply. Gah! However, the dragon, which had already turned into a corpse, didn't care that his heart had been pierced and rushed towards Tima in the direction the magic came from. Yeah. Tima, damn. The corpse dragon rushed in and tried to mow down Tima with its arm. Iristina, Camilla, and the others hit him with magic one after another to get his attention. And Nozomu fires a keyblade, but the corpse dragon doesn't feel any pain. From the keyblade cutting into its body or the exploding magic, Iristina had no choice but to use all her strength and strengthen her body and ran towards Tima like a gale, holding her body and trying to jump away, but she was unable to completely dodge the dragon's arm that was flung at her. I could not do it. She instantly deploys a magic barrier, but she tried her best to block the dragon's arm, but the barrier that immediately deployed was unable to withstand the corpse dragon's strong arm, and the two were blown away and slammed into the ground. Iris, Tima, shit. In front of the two who were blown away, Nozomu and Ma let out a scream that sounded like a scream. Oh, shit. No way. Such thoughts came and went in Nozomu's heart, and his chest tightened. However, as if in response to the voice calling out to them, their bodies twitched. It looks like the worst hasn't happened yet. Meanwhile, the corpse dragon is leisurely looking for his next prize. Grrr. The next thing the corpse dragon set its sights on was Camilla and the others who were still slamming magic at them. Fuck. In order to prevent it from leaving, Nozomu rushes towards the corpse dragon with his Shinkyaku and wraps himself around it again, cutting into its body. Pharaoh also uses magic from behind her and attacks with all her might, but she is unable to stop the corpse dragon's progress, and their magic has no significant effect. Sweat dripped down Camilla's forehead, and you could see the impatience on Nozomu and Fio's expressions. Fuck. If things continue like this, even the girls will be defeated. Nozomu's thoughts go crazy, and he reaches for the invisible chain that binds his body. The shackles that were placed onto me, and the chains that bound the dragon, although it is the most reliable way to kill the corpse dragon. Releasing its spell may cause a tragedy that even Nozomu himself cannot imagine. In fact, I once let my anger get the best of me and used all my power, literally causing a tragedy. The opponents at that time were demonic beasts, not humans, but the opponents that time were giants with abilities that easily surpassed normal humans. If the power that easily slaughtered those giants. Ooh. Oh, damn, I remember that shit. Oh, I'm so fucking... Oh, I was hype as. If the power that easily slaughtered those giants was used against humans, his nightmares would become reality. Nozomu can't shake his hesitation, but the moment light suddenly soared behind Camilla and the others, that was correct. It was the contract magic of the spirits I had seen before. Particles of light gather at one point while drawing a spiral, standing on point of convergence. It's an elf girl with blue hair. She decided that she could not deal an effective blow to the corpse dragon with her own strength, so she asked for help from the friends she had been with since she was a child. If this, Nozomu found a way out with her spirit magic that sealed away even the black monster. But then, something unexpected happened. A sudden storm of gust of wind, a whirlpool of wind blows away the spirits gathered around Sheena, scattering the contract magic. What? Sheena's voice is dismayed by the unexpected event. When Nozomu and his friends turned their attention to the source of the wind blowing against them, there was Marth holding up a great sword. Although his one hand was broken, He readied the sword with his other hand and poured all his energy and magic into the great sword. With this guy, no matter how many dragons you have, what he sees in front of him is Tima, who was lying on the ground. When the two of them were blown away, anger and frustration instantly flared up his heart. Rushed by the flames, Marth thought he had to do something about the current situation and tried to use the greatest skill he had to the at the moment. Indeed, he was unable to use this technique in the recent melee. However, that meant that he was unable to use that technique, not that he was controlling it freely. Unaware of this fact, Marth misunderstood that he could master it in his current state, and as a result, the situation that Timber and Nosemu had feared before occurred. Gah! The blade of the sword made a clanging sound, and the torrent of energy and magic swirls around it. The whirlpool of power, like a storm, continues to rage without harmony. As a result of pouring an excessive amount of power into each other that could not normally mix, Mars himself began to run out of control, to the point where he could no longer control himself. Why? Gah! Kia! The wind beasts were released with a roar. The wind that had been gathering around the sword body finally left Mars' control and bared its fangs at those around it. The wind expands explosively and blows away Mars, the birth parent, and the birth parent, and Camilla and Tima, who were nearby. Sheena was protected by the spirits that were gathering around her, but as a result, she completely lost her spirit protection. Sheena, who has lost the protection of the spirit, shoots an arrow with a bitter expression on her face, but that is not enough to stop the corpse dragon. Damn. The corpse dragon heads towards the girls, paying no attention to the frantic attacks of his friends. Its appearance is exactly the same as that of the giant dragon seen in the nightmare. Nosemo couldn't get lost anymore. What he sees is Ariston and the others lying on the ground, and Sheena, who continues to shoot arrows despite her fear. With a flash of his sword, Nosemo ran past the corpse dragon, as if to forcibly shake off the nightmares, fear and anxiety in his head, and immediately turned around. As he roughly scrapes the ground, he continues around and puts his hand on the invisible chains that bind him, trying to tear them off with all his might. Why? However, for some reason, the invisible chain never broke. Nosemu tries to break the chain over and over and over again, but no matter how much force he puts into it, the invisible chain doesn't bulge. Nosemu is stunned. At that moment, a dragon approaches him and mowing down Nosemu and the Sheena with its tail. Nosemu and Sheena are blown away and slammed into the ground. Since I was attacked when I was completely on my feet, I was unable to defend myself. My consciousness turned completely white from the shock of being hit. As Nosemu's consciousness fades away, his vision shifted to a hazy one, and he saw a dragon's fang approaching right before him, and a man wearing silver armor and carrying a huge black sword on his back, rushing towards him from deep in the bushes. It was a sight that looked like this. Yeah, the darkness slowly opens up. The first thing that appears in Nosemu's hazy vision was the top of the tent. Nah, no way! Fuck you, cadet, we could have seen some action. Here, looks like you're awake. When I turned to the direction where I heard the voice, I saw Professor Norn coming towards me from the back of the tent. Apparently, this is the first aid station of the management headquarters. Norn comes to Nosemu's side, grabs his hand and checks his pulse, and looks into the depths of his eyes to ascertain his physical condition. While diagnosing Nosemu, Norn told us what happened after he lost consciousness. According to the story, when Nosemoo and his friends were in the predicament, Jihad, who received a report from Mumu, made it just in time and started a battle with the corpse dragon. In the end, a blow from Jihad's giant sword cut off the corpse dragon's head, and a return blow cut off his body in half, causing him to be defeated. Yeah, it looks like you're okay. Even though he's undead, I was worried when I heard you had an encounter with a dragon, but I'm glad you're okay. After completing the diagnosis, Norm begins to clean up the equipment she used. Nosemoo was curious about how everyone else was doing and opened his mouth to ask Norm, what about everyone else? Iristina and the others have already finished their treatment and are outside. Their injuries cannot be called light, but they are not life-threatening. As for Sheena, come here. Sheena's voice came from the other side. When Nosemoo turned around, there was Sheena on her bed, with only her upper body upright, and upright. A bandage was wrapped around her head and was blood-soaked. Case and bandage were peeking out from under her open jacket. Red spots appear on her white skin, which would normally be spotless. Nosemoo's face distorted at the painful sight. I'm going to call Iristina and the others. Both of you rest in peace. Oh, fuck. They did. When Professor Norn leaves, silence fills the tent. Sheena was staring at Nosemoo, but Nosemoo was unable to meet her gaze. Because I couldn't release my power back then. Regret swelled in his heart. If he had been able to release the suppression of his abilities, they might have not been hurt. Hey. Of course that's not a matter of possibility. It's a meaningless story since the battle with the corpse dragon is over. However, the fact that he was unable to do what he needed to do when he really needed it deeply pierced Nosemoo's heart. Hey. Nosemoo suddenly turns to face Sheena's call. Listen, I've been talking to you for a while now. I'm sorry. Sheena turned to Nosemoo with a dissatisfied face, as if she thought she was being ignored. Nosemoo hastily apologizes to her, but somehow her heart is still not there. It's still not here. It's okay, everyone is safe. Sheena left out a sigh at Nosemoo's state, but I wonder if she was trying to cheer him up. She spoke to Nosemoo in her own brightest voice, saying the words that Mimu would normally say. However, Nosemoo's expression did not look good, and he gritted his teeth and clenched his fist tightly as if to endure it. The two fall into silence, and as silence drifted through the tent, Sheena opened her mouth to say something to Nosemoo. Hey, who are you? Nosemoo, have you noticed? However, just as she was about to speak, Iristina rushed into the tent to interrupt her words. She must have been in such a hurry that she was breathing heavily and her chest was rising and failing violently. Seems that Iristina was the one who was worried about the two, and Timofeo and the others were also visible behind her. Looks like everyone's okay. A good thing I was worried. Seeing that Nosemoo was safe, Iristina felt a sigh of relief. Looking up at her moist, jet-black eyes and the expression of her face shows pure relief. If you look closely, you'll see that her body is covered in bandages, just like Sheena's. Yeah, sorry for making you worry. Nosemoo's expression becomes even cloudier when he sees Iristina's wound. Iristina can't help but fall silent when she sees Nosemoo's strange behaviour. You, Nosemoo, I'm glad you're safe. More importantly, hey. Theo and his friends who were behind her tried to talk to Nosemoo, but at that moment Martha appeared from behind them. Mars! Fucking love Mars. Mars appeared, interrupting Theo's words. He walked towards Nosemoo's bed, ignoring everyone else. The next moment, Nosemoo saw a fist reflected in his field of vision, and shock ran across his cheek. The sound of a blow echoing through the tent. Nosemo's body was thrown out of the bed, looking over the table next to him and medical instruments, who were thrown onto the ground. His face was dyed bright red with anger, and he was glaring at Nosemo, as if he was not enough. Why? Ma's voice sounded like it was suffocating. His clenched fists were shaking and his teeth so hard he's about to crush them. Why? Why didn't you get serious? Marth ran across the fallen Nosemo and grabbed him by the chest. If you were serious, you could have easily defeated that lizard. Nosemo couldn't respond to Marth's words. I just looked down and gritted my teeth as if to endure. Nosemo, who thought that this punishment was natural. However, Marth becomes even more irritated by the way Nosemo doesn't say anything. Don't say something. Marth raised his fist again. Iristan and the others were stunned by the sudden event. But when they saw that Marth was about to hit Nosemo, they hurriedly stopped him. Mars, no, stop it, Mars. Hey, calm down. Tima and Iristan cling to Mars' arm, and Theo jumps to his waist. Despite the three people trying to restrain him, Mars doesn't try to lower his raised arm. He simply gives in to his anger and shakes off Tima, who was clinging to him. Kya, Tima! Tima, who was not strong enough to begin with, easily shaken off. Tima, who had fallen down, had twisted her leg and was holding his ankle while her face was distorted in pain. However, Marth, whose head is bleeding, doesn't see Tima, who shakes her off, and uses his free arm to punch Nosemo away again. Nosemo collapses again on the top of the scattered medical equipment. Just as Marth was about to approach Nosemo further, Norn's angry voice echoed from the entrance of the tent. What are you doing? This isn't the place to make a fuss. Everyone fell silent at the sound of the angry voice. They look at each other with an awkward expression. Marth still continued to glare at Nosemo. Although his eyes were strained with anger, they also had a sad, clinging colour to them. However, when Nosemo made no attempt to say anything, the colour of his eyes turned to disappointment. I thought you were different from that bastard. Mars, Marth said, as if to squeeze it out, when turned on his heel and left the tent. Tima calls Mars' name, but he leaves without looking back. Nosemo, are you okay? Nosemo, who had fallen down, slowly stands up, but his legs are weak and he staggers. Iristan reaches out her hand to support Nosemo's body, but Nosemo doesn't take her outstretched hand, slips around her, and heads towards the exit of the tent. Iristan tries to reach out to touch Nosemo's back as he leaves, but her hand doesn't reach at the end and floats in the air. After the two left, only the heavy silence hung in the tent. So that was chapter 5, section 21. Nosemo should have been blasting Smarts then, but we didn't get that. Anyway, Cadet is still good as, and you can read this shit on encode.co. I might link it, don't know. Anyway.